Hello and welcome to another ALTTPR Race League matchup. We are in the second week of the playoffs. We're in the division bracket here between the Last Locationers and Air 216 representing the Misery Mire division. We have a matchup between Illus and Buane. We are in an Ambrosia seed, which means we start with a sword. We get a hint as to where the boots are from our uncle. We are in a standard open. And every single boss is going to have a non-dungeon item drop for them. I am Worldwide Wimpy. I am joined by Wolf Link here. How you doing today, man?
Good evening, folks. And yes, we have the Misery Mire Division Finals here. Or the winner of this will be the winner of their division for the Elite Fest Randomizer League, and then we will go into interdivision play between the Dark World and the Light World Conference. And the winners of each conference will fight each other for the Grand Finals. You can see the bracket on the league website if you were ever curious about that. But yeah, tonight we do have a 1-on-1 match here. We have with Last Locationers. They won their Courage representation game, which was open to 7-7 to Ganon. Error 216, meanwhile, won their Power matchup, which is the higher seed choice. That is the settings choices. So this will be going to a game 4, and I do know that will be this Saturday coming up. I do not know the settings on that, but we'll get to that a little bit later.
But before the race starts, I just want to shout out our tracker, Reg, over here. Going to be following both of our runners. In an Ambrosia seed, it's going to kind of be synced for a little while because you're going to be exiting out of the Sanctuary. Most runners go ahead and go do Kakariko Village, and then we might see some split from there.
So yeah, folks, so this is going to be a standard mode, a surge sword mode. As you can see, we do start with the sword. That sword is actually not active until we speak with the uncle. He does not actually give it to us. It's already in our inventory. And one of the things we're going to be looking for as we go through this game is bombs. Bombs will let us check 3 more chests at the very end of the dungeon. Unfortunately, the enemies have prize packs. The prize packs the enemies have are shuffled, so they might not have... words are hard sometimes. The bombs might not be in the guard pool, or the rat pool, or the snake pool. And if that's the case, they'll have to come back later for those 3 items.
Yes, so the matchup between these two teams were tied 1-1 Tuesday. I do believe it was Air 216 taking a victory, and yesterday, Last Locationers were able to even up the series. So this is now a best of 3 between these two teams to see who represents the Misery Mire division going forward in the playoffs. So we wish the best of luck to every team that's in the playoffs going forward. You can check out the brackets at the ALTTPRleague.com/schedule to see where and when your favorite teams and racers are going to be racing. And we're underway.
Oh no, here we go. The boots are in Swamp Palace to start things off here. That's gonna be a ways off. And we get the red boomerang. That's actually a good item to find. I say that because of the stun prize. The stun prize is separate from our drops. 5-6 are already on our map. Terra and Eastern Palace. Desert is a normal crystal. But with those stun prizes, they could drop bombs guaranteed as well. It's completely random what that could be.
Yes, and as we said earlier, this is a standard open, so it's going to feel very, very, very familiar if you've never done Randomizer and only done the vanilla game. We gotta go see how our uncle's doing and go save a princess from a jail cell. As Uncle just had some pocket cash on him.
And unfortunately, the stun price is only hearts, so I have that. They start with the ice roll, though, and the guards do have bombs on them. So Buane will be able to check those 3 chests, but does not have any to spare. Illus will hopefully get another bomb on the other guards going forward. And the snakes also share a drop pool with the guards, so if Illus does not get lucky, he can check those at a later point to find them. And then there's still the rats who might have just bombs in their drop pools as well.
Yeah, we know we're going to be killing a green guard here in the back of, or in the bottom of escape here. There is a room locked by killing a green guard, so you might be able to find another bomb off of him.
Master Sword already for both our runners. I believe the blue guards, as long as they don't have a key on them, will always have another separate drop. I don't remember that for sure. From the green guards. And of course, folks, that we are playing with the standard mode settings, which basically means we play the game's prologue. That's all there is to it. Open mode, we basically skip the prologue, but the checks still remain there for us to do at a later point in time. Really at our discretion. And so far, so good.
So there's that small key that we're going to need to access the back of Escape. It was going to be somewhere in the front or in Darkcross anyway, as we had no choice but to do the standard open. Now, you may be asking, well, in the vanilla game, we find a lamp in here. How are they going to make it through the dark? Well, luckily, the randomizer, when you set it to a standard open, whether or not you find the lamp early on, you're going to get a light cone through the back of Escape. Now, you're not going to have that privilege throughout the rest of the dark rooms. It's just one of those things of, we know the lamp could be anywhere, so we're going to be nice and just give you a light cone for this one section.
Yeah. And I believe it used to be the case in which the lamp was supposed to be here so you could see your way through. And that kind of skewed the logic in terms of dark rooms, really. This one makes it a little bit more dynamic. That was way back in like version like 18 or something, I don't know. I started playing around like, I think 19.
And I would say both of these runners are more than skilled enough that even if we didn't have a light cone, they would be able to make their way through those dark rooms relatively easily. Yeah.
At this point, all of our runners remaining in the tournament are skilled in some way, shape, or form with dark rooms. The dark rooms in the basement are some of the easier ones, I'd say. Not as easy as, say, Eastern Palace's way to the big key, but definitely one you can definitely learn.
Yeah, there's nothing too dangerous in the back of Escape. It's just that there's a lot of them, and they move in random patterns, and they can heck you up in your movement if you can't see where you're going.
Yeah, and of course, with version 31, we've now incorporated the fact that torches can now be lit, and that takes them out, those dark rooms, out of a pure lamp logic lock. So if you have the fire rod, you can light these torches all through Escape, for the most part anyway.
Yeah, with Fire Rod being added into Logic, there's only, 4 dungeons that require the lamp in Logic. Eastern, Palace of Darkness, Mire, and Turtle Rock.
Yeah, I believe that's the same dungeons regardless.
Yes, but there are parts of Eastern and, Eastern, you would only need the lamp to get the one chest, which is only the big key chest. You can finish the dungeon with using the Fire Rod.
And both our runners getting a pack of bombs as well. It looks like it was in the bomb dropping pool is on the guards, primarily. And of course we have our favorite opponent, the Key Rat. Nice snag there by Buane, just not saving any time. Or wasting any time, rather. Bad choice of words. And now we'll get to see what these 3 items back here. We've already found the map, so these are 3 items guaranteed. And we have 20 rupees. A heart piece, and the power glove. That's good that they found those bombs then, because that would have been a really bad thing to leave behind. And if that was required as our only glove before Dark World access, they'd have to go all the way back through this game and waste another couple minutes getting that. So good thing they found bombs.
Yeah, you'd hate to make your way all the way back through to get the 3 checks, and oh, there's a glove. Man, I needed some explosions early on.
And thankfully there was some, and thankfully neither one of them missed it. Now, they also got 100 rupees from Zelda Cell here, and that's actually pretty important, because now we'll have access to the merchant vendor when we get to Kakariko, so that'll be one less thing they have to worry about.
As Buane does his map check, sees that it's oops, all crystals, but this one has crunch berries in it, blue and red.
I haven't heard them called that, actually. That's actually pretty good. But in any case, that means we do have 3 pendants in the Dark World, and that could be our pendant dungeons, or medallion dungeons, rather, for all we know. Arrows on the mushroom spot. But we're just taking a similar route to start things off, and this is pretty standard fare when you have Sanctuary start, or a standard mode start, you head to Kakariko first.
We are in Ambrosia mode, so the biggest thing going forward for Ambrosia is we know where the boots are. They're inside of Swamp Palace, thanks to our uncle. And every single dungeon boss is going to have a non-dungeon item on them, so that's going to eliminate one check from every single front of dungeons. So that kind of changes your routing and what you do. So, for example, if you dip Eastern Palace and find 2 items in the first 2 checks, you can bolt. You found everything that you're going to find up and through the boss.
Yeah. Now, with the boots in Swamp House, this does raise the question: do you dip Swamp House without the hook shot if you can get in there? Because if the boots are before the hook shot checks, good on you. You have the advantage there for a good while until you find the hook shot. If it's not there, then you waste a few minutes' time.
It would depend upon if Swamp Palace is going to be a pendant or not. As we find a Moon Pearl here in the bottom of Blind's house, hiding behind a bombable wall. We're going to be going over into the Kakariko Well here. Very similar checks. 5 in total, 1 behind a bombable wall. And then we're going to see what our friend the bottle vendor has for us today.
Yeah, and so far no lamp either, so... They did find the mushroom. So that's one more check they can turn in later, or they can save for fake powder, which that we'll see maybe a little bit later. There's a bow. Eastern's looking pretty much like a good play right now.
Yeah, I would imagine both of our runners are going to be going to Eastern after finishing out Kakariko Village with either a library/race game check, or if they happen to get a shovel, digging up a dig spot and going over to Eastern to get the 3 checks in Sarsapalla's closet and to finish Eastern completely.
That I'm not 100% sure on. They probably ideally want a fire rod so they can or a lamp to guarantee those in logic. Because the big key could still be in the big key chest for Eastern Palace.
I would guess both of these runners are more than skilled enough to go through the dark rooms. There's only 2, and it's a completable red crystal dungeon. I would head there first, because everything but the boss would be Sphere 1 checks. That's nice to have before heading into Dark World.
Yeah. I think a more likely play, though, is they're going to continue with the kind of sort of traditional routing you would see in the early game of Link to the Past, and they'll head over to Shalstor, check Mini Moldorm and the Dam, and maybe also Ice Rod Cave. And after that point, they could possibly play clear up to over to Eastern as well. And right now, going the Mini Moldorm route does give them more items overall. And if Pod is a crystal, they could, ideally, if they find the mirror, they could save it so they can do Pod and Eastern back to back.
Yes, that's true, but you are risking knowing that all the Light World dungeons are crystals, that Pod is basically a 50-50 of being a pendant.
Well, it looks like both runners are taking our ideas to heart. Buane going to be heading over to Eastern, whereas Illus is going to actually check the mushroom.
That makes sense. You got that mushroom for a reason. It's kind of out of the way, but when you kind of get it early, there's usually something in logic for you from the Witch's Cauldron. Usually it's magic powder, but today we'll drop that mushroom inside the bubbling cauldron and it will turn into maybe a sword, perhaps a fire rod, maybe rupees. We don't know.
Green Pendant, meanwhile, is in Thieves Town, and we start with we find the cape, the flute, and a heart piece. Wow, okay, you're staying out in spades here. I'll concede that much now, Wimpy. But Buane is actually safe footing. He doesn't leave.
That's interesting. There's nothing wrong with this. Logically, you're looking at it. Oh, I just got the flute and the cape. So,
yeah.
You're going to be able to open up Death Mountain. You're going to be able to move over to Ice Rod Cave real quick with the flute and loop in Mini Moldorm. Maybe even head over to the left-hand side and check what's on Desert Ledge and hit a Gina.
Yeah, this is, I think, the best way. And Illus is also going west, so I think the play here would be flute to 7 and check the dam at this point for Buane.
We'll see if Illus decides to go ahead and maybe complete Eastern. Again, I am absolutely certain both of these runners can do Dark Rooms in Eastern to finish it out. But like you said, maybe hoping to loop that in with Palace of Darkness a little bit later.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a save and quit here from Illus. No, not gonna save and quit. Interesting.
And that's the thing, that as long as there's not an item in the big key chest in Eastern, it's all Sphere 1 checks, which means you have access to them as soon as you're able to get into the open world. So a lot of progress can be found and hidden inside of Eastern. In fact, the race yesterday between these two teams had the medallion they needed in the very front of Eastern Palace in the Quake to open up Misery Mire.
Well, let's see what our runners find here as they take separate paths. Ironically, we called that they were going to these two locations, but it was actually the reverse. And
that's the thing with this divergence. Neither play is wrong. Both of it makes sense as we find a shovel inside the first check here of Eastern Palace.
Shovel will imply a south route through to Kakariko to get the flute online. If Illus wants to check route efficiently. Buane sees the 10 bombs, gonna nope out. Possibly gonna flute back to 7 to check the dam. Yep. Taking full advantage of that food to check checks all across Hyrule. Big key is there, so your play was actually even more founded than it already was.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's if you get that bow early and Eastern is a crystal and you know the dark rooms, you might as well go do it. And with that extra value of it being a red crystal, let's say we find Mirror or a hook shot here with Hammer on the mountain, then all of a sudden you can loop in Hera and you've got your 2 red crystals going into Dark World.
So far, Mini Roller Cave is a complete bust, and it looks like it will be. And it looks like there is going to be a guaranteed item in the back, because I don't think we found one here in Eastern.
Well, there's going to be one on the Armos. There's either one here in the big chest or there's going to be one in the big key. There is one in the big key, because we did find that shovel in the front. But as you were saying, these 2 dark rooms are 2 of the easiest to do. You've got a Master Sword, you've got plenty of hearts. Let's go do it. Let's just finish this dungeon and not worry about it.
Yeah. Illus attempting to get an early crystal lead. And if we find a mirror somewhere, then that's going to be really great. Buane is just striking out. Wow. This overworld is not the greatest.
But I would imagine being near the rupee amount for Zora, he might be considering a fake flippers. No, he's going in the Eastern.
Yeah, and with the glove, this makes a lot more sense that he did all the checks the way he did. A little bit of heart piece here. I'm worried about Aga, to be perfectly honest.
As we're watching Buane enter into Eastern, going to be seeing some repeat checks, and Illus head to the back of Eastern Palace. Just want to remind you, you can follow both of the runners by hitting the !R command. You will see links in the Twitch chat to both of our runners, to their Twitch pages. Go ahead and give them a follow. You can do the same thing for your commentating team, !C. You'll see links to my page, Wolflink's page, and Reg's page. Give us a follow. We all play rando. We all have a good time with it.
Alright. So, Armos Knight's coming up now for Illus here. Doesn't have quite as many arrows, but there's plenty of pots in these last couple of rooms that have 5 packs. So should be able to fill up the quiver.
Yeah, you need a minimum of 18 arrows.
Yeah, we'll need a pack or 2 here because we have to spend another 4 to get through.
And we'll more than likely see the fast kill here on Armos, either in the bottom right or kind of center right top, where Illus is doing it from the bottom.
I think Illus realized he wasn't going to get it and change strats. And there's our hook shot! Alright. That puts the mountain in a huge advantageous position. But we also have to keep in mind this is fire rod locked at the very least.
Yeah, I would imagine that there's probably a fire source on the dig spot. Just looking at this logically, there's a good chance, probably better than most other times, that you'll find a lamp or fire rod underneath that soil to the west of Link's house.
I'm gonna say it's on the mountain.
It could be on the mountain. That's also a possibility. We need to have access to that beforehand. Unfortunately, technically, you only have one logical check you can make up the mountain before the lamp, or before the hook shot and our mirror. So, it could be there, though.
I mean, we only have 4 locations we can get. The dig spot here, Hina, Zora, and the mountain. So, there's really only one spot it could be. And it's not here at the dig spot.
Illus here going to be going up through into Kakariko to activate that flute. I would imagine heading right up the mountain.
We do have access to the west side of Death Mountain, which only has the Spectral Rock Cave. We could go to the east side of Death Mountain for all the other checks, though.
Well, yeah, you've got that hook shot. If you're going to go up there, you might as well do as much as you can while you're there.
Exactly. But at this point, I would probably at some point flip to 6, because Agina's now very isolated. Wouldn't hurt to check like Desert Ledge and get Agina done, and then flute up the mountain.
Well, Illus also hasn't done South Shore, so that's also a possibility with that flute, making it a little bit easier to loop in. But I would imagine this is a mountain play.
Yeah.
Nope, going into Swamp and checking South Shore. Makes perfect sense, too. That has a lot of density in it.
Yeah, and Illus hasn't been over here, but we know there's nothing of importance. I do like the desert play a little bit more, though, because if you're want to go check Zora, there is a cave over on the desert passageway that has 50 rupees under pots, which our runners can use. There's a kill for Buane, that is a hookshot for him as well. And let's see where Buane decides to go after this, because he's already checked South Shore.
And he's already been over to the desert as well.
I don't think he has.
I thought he fluted over there. I might have been mistaken, though. It's very possible. Sometimes I can be an idiot. Ooh, we get the special glitched armor on the green armor boys as Buane heads over to the dig spot. That is a glitch inside of the actual game. Just for some reason, the palette of the green guards there, a little west of Link's house, sometimes they like having a different color.
Illus is going to be checking Ice Rock Cave. Buane looks to be checking the mountain. We'll be getting the old man, which is an out-of-logic check, but again, one of the more easier rooms to see. It doesn't get hard until I say Palace of Darkness when you want to do lampless strats. Because there are several dark rooms. The maze there is very annoying. I'd say the hardest rooms are Misery Mire's basement, as well as Dark Aga Tower.
Yeah, that first mystery, the switch room in Misery Mire basement, that very first room, that one's the worst. It is. It's just the worst. You've got those fire spitters, and they're off time sometimes, and one's just angled just enough that if you move a certain way, you're going to get hit by it no matter what.
Yeah, 20 rubies there from the old man. Buane's going to start ascending the mountain. And this is smart. Jumping into this cave real quick to just quickly get out of the way.
Yeah, you know, falling rocks and dead rocks are just not fun to deal with, even at the most amount of hearts.
Peace Heart on Spectacle Rock. We see also Illus following suit here. That is a bottle inside Spectacle Rock, which means we can now get the sick kit check, which could be our source we're looking for as well.
Yeah, lots of fetch quests here early on in the seed, having mushroom and shovel. So another bottle, that just makes you have to go to Kakariko one more time.
And yeah, no bottle in Kakariko, so this was the only bottle they have had thus far. Unless we missed one.
No, we didn't miss any.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
As Buane pulls off the nice bomb jump across the hole, looks like he's going to go turn in that bottle.
Yep.
Wanting to stay in logic here.
Lamp!
There it is.
Oh no, lamp is the worst.
No, that puts the hook shot back into logic, so...
Yes, it does, but it also puts Aga 1 in logic. We have logical Darkhold access through Aghanim 1.
Yes, but we still have 1, 2, 8 checks over on the east side of Death Mountain that are now back into logic. That
is also true. Illus is going to check them without checking the Sick Kid.
Yeah, there's no point. You're over here already. Might as well go check them. If you find a hammer, then you're going, okay, well, there's one item on Moldorm. I can find another item somewhere in Hera, hoping it's not fire-locked in the basement.
Yeah. And if the hammer's over here, that's good for them, because that means they can dodge Aga 1. But as it stands right now, at this moment, Aga 1's our only access to Darkhold. We need to find that other glove or the hammer. And even then, Aga 1 may still be required, because we have an item on the Lumberjack ledge. No one's checked.
I wouldn't be worried about Lumberjack check until I get those boots in Swamp Palace. So, as soon as I see Dark World, and if I see Swamp Palace being appended, I'm going to be like, Lumby probably has nothing.
Alright, so both runners are going to get these items here. 50 rupees, 20 rupees, another 20.
That puts Zora well into logic.
Titan's Mitts. Alright. So they can dodge Aghanim for the time being, but I am still worried. Because that hammer is still locking access to the Palace of Darkness area, as well as the flippers. And on top of that, our hammer could also be on the Hammer Fairy, or Pyramid Fairy. That has happened before. So Aghanim's not completely dead yet, but it is definitely looking unlikely for anything else at this point.
I didn't know this, chat. I didn't know that you didn't need 500 rupees for Zora.
And unfortunately, we can confirm that hammer is not going to be on pedestal because of something we'd like to call key logic. Although, I think it could be in the case of Thieves Town. At least from what we know, but it's more likely than not that the hammer cannot be on pedestal because we will have at least one pendant dungeon, most likely in the locations. I think in order for it to not be a hammer, potential hammer on Lumberjack or Pedestal Sea, it would have to be Skullwoods and Misery Mire for our other two pendants. And there was a map check. I saw ice as a crystal. I think I saw Pod and Turtle Rock as crystals as well. I did not catch anything on the west side of the world. And yeah, Chad is pointing out that he isn't in play with 500 rupees, but rupees aren't considered in the logic. That is what they're implying. And yeah, that is also correct. Because the game assumes you can easily grind rupees. Which is true. There are spots you can just straight up grind rupees if you know where to look. Here we go, more map check. West side is all of our pendants are on west side. Wait a minute. That's oh my. Those are all non-hammer dungeons unless Thieves Town Small Key is in the big chest. We could have a scene in which hammers on pedestal, but I highly doubt it. What a seed! I called it. Ah! Medallion for Turtle Rock is Quake, as we now see. And both runners now can dodge Aghanim for the time being.
Those flips put Pod into logic. The only thing that is locked right now with that hammer over on the east side would be the Pyramid Fairy.
That's right. And here's the thing. Hera is the other 5/6 crystal. As it stands right now, there's only 2 items that can get us up to Hera. The hammer, which will make it so that Aghanim is not a threat, and the mirror, which would make Aghanim a threat for the sake because of the 5/6 crystals leading to hammer.
Buane fluted over to the Misery Mire area just to check the Mire shed over on the left-hand side. Unfortunately, we could not see what he got.
Nope. But thankfully, our tracker was most likely grab that information for us.
As Illus is doing our flippers checks here, just a piece of heart on Hylia Island. Gonna visit and see what our friendly neighborhood hobo has for us, who lives underneath the bridge.
So yeah, as it stands now, boots are not on the table. We need to find the hammer and the mirror. So hammer and mirror is going to come sooner rather than later. But swamp is a crystal, but they can full clear once they find access to it. So that will be a priority 1 dungeon for them.
Buane elects to go into the village of outcasts here.
Alright.
Getting a race game check here, just 50 rupees.
Illus, meanwhile, is looking to head over to Zora, maybe?
Yep, you've committed to this routing sequence. Might as well go do it. You've got 2 here in the water, another on the ledge, and you've got the rupums there to go ahead and pay a fish.
It looks like Buane has the Tempered Sword in the Misery Mire area. It's hard enough to tell there. See, house is the mirror! Oh boy, there we go. That will give us access to the 5/6 crystals, and also means Pyramid Fairy can potentially have the hammer.
Yes. Because you'd be able to route that in with doing Aga 1. So
yeah,
Aga 1 still completely on the table here.
Yeah. May not be required yet, though. We will see. And even then, and if it's required for the Pyramid Fairy, we do runners should know some tricks to duplicate the bomb, and just bypass that altogether. But logically, this would be an Attica seed if the Pyramid Fairy has the hammer.
Absolutely.
Or anything that would lead to the hammer. Which in this case... Whoa! Hang on! That's a fire rod on Desert Ledge.
That's interesting. If Buane would have seen Fire Rod on the Desert Ledge, getting that mirror...
He didn't check it. Quake also for Misery Mire. So 1 medallion fits all. He went straight to Mire. He did not check the ledge. I'll be checking it now, though. Buane sees it. Saluting most likely to go back in.
That makes sense.
And at this point, we can clear deserts. Actually, let me take a look at the items here. We still need the hammer, of course, for Swamp and Palace of Darkness.
As Buane here looks like
oh yeah, we also need Cadence Amaria. So hammer, Cadence Amaria, and hopefully boots for our go mode. Well, we'll be picking up boots regardless, because we know where they are. So yeah, we're just missing Cadence Tamaria and the hammer's location for go mode.
As we see Illus enter into the Dark Village.
Oh, and Quake. I forgot about Quake.
going to be finding that mirror and C-shaped house eventually. And
Oh my
Buane
goodness.
looks like he's going to follow the Smith chain here, taking our good friend Jeremiah the Bullfrog back to his house, going to be picking up Chesty, our lunchbox for our locksmith.
Can I spin a yard here? Because I've just realized something that can be very sadistic with this scene. What if we had a boots-locked hammer? It's possible. They could go into
that
swamp.
actually wouldn't be bad. That actually wouldn't be bad because that would then put the boots in the first check of Swamp Palace after the Spunky
That is
chest.
correct.
That's not that bad.
But here's the thing: why would you go to Swamp Palace for only one chest?
That's the thing. If you're able to find out, so let's say, for example, Illus, after getting the mirror here in C-shaped house, decides, okay, I'm gonna go get the fire rod, dip desert, seize hammer on that lamp, on that flame pedestal. Well, then you know where you need to go. You know the boots are. They have to be in that second check because of the uncle hint and having the mirror.
Yeah.
So that's actually not that bad.
Yeah, but the problem is, mentally, it's a really bad idea. It feels really bad to dip Desert or Swamp House for just one chest. But it could be required, though. And if they didn't make the play there and it actually is the case, I'll be amazed that I called it. But again, I highly doubt it's going to be the thing.
If Illus dips into desert and sees that, that's actually not a bad thing. Because then you go, okay, I know where the hammer is. I know where the boots are. They have to be in that Swamp Palace second chest. Because of the hint we got from Uncle. They have to be there. There's no other place they could be because the rest of Swamp Palace is locked by the hammer.
Well, the thing is, if it's Bonkrux or Kingstown where the boots or the hammer is, they won't know that until they can find the boots. And they're not going to look at the swamp for that. That's the case where the hammer is.
Yes, so that would be one of those things that you would last location if you don't check the desert torch. If I'm getting fire rod, I'm dipping in to see if it's fire rod or boots locked anyway. So it just depends upon when they decide to go get that fire rod.
They might actually be doing it right now. Buane is in the area.
It makes sense. This is relatively quick to check that chest. You know, the boots are in there somewhere.
And the boots are here, and they lead to our hammer, like I'm predicting. And Illus doesn't do that. I can see this race going straight into Arrow 216's pocket. Because those boots just give them more and more of an advantage because they check the checks faster. Alright, let's see what we got here. Only one check available to us here in Swamp. They know the boots are here in Swamp Palace. They could be here or they could be deeper in.
Again, this is going to give us some good information too. All right, so we know a hammer cannot be boots locked.
Yeah, that only locks 3 checks though. 4 checks actually. But that is just not to say that we can find our hammer elsewhere. But it also doesn't rule out Aghanim either, because hammer could just be on Pyramid Fairy, like we've been saying. Until the hammer is found, really, Aghanim is still on the table. It's very unlikely, but it's still possible. Hype Cave coming up here, 20 rupees to start things off. There's our silvers. 10 arrows. 50 rupees. And a chest I miss.
We all missed it, so... Aga is on the table because we have access to both of our red crystals, but we have no hammer to walk the bomb across the bridge in Dark World, so the only logical way to use the big red bomb is with the portal at Hyrule Castle.
That is correct. And if the hammer is in that pyramid that we had to blast open, then it's 100% unavoidable that we have to do Aghanim. There are, of course, tricks that allow the runners to duplicate the bomb and get around that. But it's very unlikely that, but again, logically, it would still be an Aghanim required to see.
You know what I just thought of? With that fire rod, Ice Palace is open.
That's right, and I believe Buane does have it, but Ice Palace, if you're dipping swamp for one chest, you're definitely not dipping ice without the hammer either, because you can only go about halfway through ice, and that is a very long dungeon. You do not want to double dip that if you can help it. I'll concede that it might be the case here today, but yeah, no, I don't think that is a wise decision.
Of course, neither of our runners went to do a big dip into Thieves Town. Now, the only thing that the hammer is necessary for in Thieves Town is that big chest. We do know Blind has an item on it, and it is also the green pendant. So, you know, checking the first floor of Thieves Town and dipping out makes a lot of sense, but you have that additional check, and you know for sure Blind has an item, so
yeah.
There's still lots of evil spots that our progression could be.
And if Chad is doubting the fact that Hammer can be on Pyramid Fairy, I've actually called the city that had Hammer on Pyramid Fairy. I believe it was the 2019 main tournament that I saw it.
You can get some real evil seeds. In version 31, I've gotten Lamp on the verification chest in GT.
Ooh, that would be an entrance seed though, because Hammer is normally, unless for some reason you managed to luck out. No, it's possible. That'd have been entrance.
No, it was a standard. It was a standard open seed.
Really?
Yeah. Because that fire rod puts the back end of Eastern Palace, so the only dungeons that are required to complete with Lamp are Pod, Mire, and Turtle Rock, and they were all pendants.
Oh, you were talking about the lamp. I thought you were cementing. My mistake. Speaking of Pod, though, we are here in Palace of Darkness now looking around to see if we got any sort of important items.
So without the hammer, there is a lot that you can do inside a pod. You just can't get the Helmasaur. Now we do know, because of Ambrosia, there is something on him, so we're only going to find 4 items here, somewhere within the front of pod. Now, because it's Ambrosia, the key logic is actually very different than what it is in a normal open seed. You can actually get more keys in the front than what you normally do, as we find a book inside the vanilla big key chest here at pod.
Yeah, I believe there are 4 small keys, at minimum, you'll find here in Palace of Dark. This is front half. And that's just to account for all the doors that you can access, because key logic is quite an annoying thing, honestly. And the best way to describe how key logic works is simply put, think of the worst way you can use your keys. That's what the logic will assume you did.
As with the silver arrows, that makes these mimics easy enough to wipe off the face of Hyrule.
Yeah, both runners now with silver arrows here. I don't know if Buane picked up the fire rod. We'll have to check a menu here to make sure.
I don't think he did. I don't think either runner picked up the fire rod. And that makes sense. You kind of want to route that in with maybe once you find something to do with desert, after you get boots, in case it's boots locked.
Now both runners with the mirror.
Buane having lots and lots of keys.
Yeah, to have the 4 keys to start things off here. Last 2 keys are going to be here in the back, along with the big key. That was Serena Ruby's there in the dark basement. Caught that very briefly.
As we see Buane with his slideshow here of checking checks, there's a big key in the harmless hallway. Just want to remind you, you can follow both of the runners by hitting the !R command inside of Twitch chat. Go ahead and click the links provided and give them a follow.
Alright. Dark Maze here. 2 items. Looks like Buane is going from the front to the back. Oh, I just forgot to check the south chest. 3rd bottle found. And that was way too fast on the menu. And yeah, no, he does not have the fire rod. He knows where it is, though, for when he needs it.
Yeah, that's good information to have. It's just everything that you can use fire rod for is not optimum for you wanting to do. Skullwoods is a pendant. You know, Mothula has an item if you want to go get it. But right now it seems like it might be time to go a little bit deeper in Thieves Town or go do Skullwoods.
Or they could probably go into ice, in which case they can find the hammer in there. Would really suck for it to be there, mind you. But there is still about 4 chests that you can check, and only 2 of them can be items.
As it looks like Buane is going to go check the orphan big key chest here. Or no, he's using the mirror to mirror back to... This is strange routing.
I think he full cleared the dungeon, but was also memorying.
Okay. I would say, did he orphan off the big key chest in the eastern?
No.
That was an item.
I don't think he did. I think...
But it was an item.
Yeah, I think both runners did full clear. Illus now with a 3rd bottle. And Buane is opting not to fight the boss.
They can't fight the boss in pod. No hammer.
Ah, right. That's correct. We are seeing what the pyramid has in store for us, though. It's something Buane wants. Nope, never mind. Illus meanwhile is going to check Tower Hera. Both runners at this point have done the old man, I believe.
Yes. As Buane's heading up to Catfish, probably going to be looping in a Graveyard Ledge. Oh, nope, going to Graveyard Ledge first, and then gonna swim over to our second fish face friend. Probably gonna be checking Bumper Cave while we're over here as well.
Meanwhile, Illus will also be checking the Ether Medallion tablet because we have the book. That was found, of course, both runners found that in pod. So let's see where the items lay. Alright, Ether tablet checked. I unfortunately did not... Unfortunately, had to do a quick refresh. Did not see what it was.
It was bombs, and we had 5 rupees inside of Graveyard Ledge.
Alright.
See, I think Buane is doing everything on purpose. This is making it so suspenseful to see what he gets. It's like a surprise. It's like a Christmas present. Compass and big key in the front of Hera here. So hopefully there's not an item in the Firelock basement. We'll find out because we're going to be able to clear as much of the top as we can. As we see Illus doing the Hera pot.
That's right. Only 1 item here in Hera that's not on the boss. We're going to see what Catfish has for us in the meantime. And it looks like we have 10 arrows. Would have been nice to have, actually, for Buane. He's kind of low on ammunition.
And Illus, without those boots, can't bonk off that chest, so very smartly takes the big hole from hitting the switch. Piece of heart. All right, so we don't have to worry about the firelock stuff inside of Tower of Hera. It is going to be, I think it's going to be the map.
All right. Sora, we have seen it was nothing of importance. I believe it was only 3 bombs.
Now the question becomes for Illus, once you've completed Hera, and if Hammer's not on Moldorm, do you go do Aga and turn in the Pyramid Fairy?
I don't think you go fight Aghanim. If you know how to bomb dupe, it's probably the most likely play. But at this point, Illus could also be going over to check Dark Death Mountain with those Titan Smiths. But with the flute, it doesn't seem like that would be Illus's idea right here. Buane also going to be fluted. Going to be.
I would say both
mountain.
runners should have been already checking Dark Death Mountain because they got the Titan's Mitts on the light side of Death Mountain.
Oh yeah, they both did, didn't they?
Yep. Looks like Illus is going to go get that fire rod and possibly dip Desert Palace.
And their tracker Ray is saying they're going to dip Desert Palace first. That also makes sense as well, yeah. Clear what dungeons you can before you 100% lock down Aghanim.
Although that puts Ice Palace and Skullwoods as options as well with this fire rod. Why would you go do Aga at this point? Because it's the only access to get the Pyramid Fairy, which could have Hammer. And if Hammer's there, that's a big brain play. And if you do that gamble before your opponent, that puts you well ahead. So it's a big gamble. But if it's there, and you're gonna feel well ahead. And we are boots locked in Desert Palace.
That's a good sighting, because now we know that the desert is hammer locked. Completely hammer locked.
As Buane heads up to the Tower of Hera. Unfortunately for him, he's going to find that it has nothing but that second red crystal.
And yeah, folks, for those who have not seen the situation that we're calling out, folks, if the hammer is on the Pyramid Fairy, as we find Quake there in the checkerboard cave, very nice find there.
That now opens up Meyer for a dip.
Indeed. Although we only get 1 item without the Cane of Samaria.
Yep.
And it's a pendant as well.
So
yeah.
I have an interesting movement and routing thing for you to do. You know that the big key is on the Torch of Desert Palace. Do you go to the back to steal a small key just to check the right-hand side real quick? You know that that small key is going to be locked behind the big key anyway.
I don't think it's worth it, because in this mode with Ambrosia, we only going to get 1 item. And that 1 item could be in the big chest anyway, in which case we get nothing out of that. So it's better to just check for the item after you get the boots, so you can just full clear the dungeon. Regardless to where the small key is.
Just bringing up interesting things that our runners could do that could break open the seed forum completely.
And we have Illus gonna head over to what looks to be Skull Woods. And can also check the pedestal as well. And there is a French case here, folks, that if Thieves Town small key is not in the big chest, then the dungeon can be cleared technically without the hammer. And that means that pedestal could have the hammer this seed, which is insane. But we would have to find the Cane of Samaria first.
And it looks like Illus is heading to Bumper Cave and probably going to loop in a Skullwoods dip. You know Mothman has an item. You've got the Fire Rod to do it with the Tempered Sword. With all the safeties we've got.
Oh, there's the hammer!
Alright, so our runners could have had this hammer super early because we had the cape well beforehand.
Alright, so Dagism's dead, Pedestal's dead. Because we need that Cane of Samaria for Mr. Meyer. Boots are now going to be online relatively soon because they are going to go straight into Swamp. There's no questions asked. Those where our boots are. And both runners are going to be in a Illus is in a very commanding position. This is a good thing to have.
I would imagine Buane's not going to be far behind, since he's kind of doing all the little desert checks now, and he's going to say, well, I've got basically whatever locks with the fire rod left, and I'm looping in Bumper Cave with it, so it'll depend upon if Buane does do Bumper Cave first, or decides to dip Skullwoods first.
Buane is going to be checking Desert first. He might dip Misery Mire with that Quake. But for only one item? Not exactly the ideal play.
We know boots are in Swamp because of a hint through Ambrosia. Our uncle told us at the very beginning of the seed that boots were in Swamp Palace.
Yes, that is one of the features of this mode. Another feature of Ambrosia is that every boss has a guaranteed item on them. Not the map, compass, small key, or big key if they are, in the case of Argus and Mothula. So one of the and this is not an extra item. This is one of the normal item pool items. So, best example I can give is Eastern Palace always has 3 items with all its dungeon items in place. One of those items will always be on the boss, so there's only going to be 2 items available beforehand.
You know, with that hammer, that's going to open up every single crystal dungeon for us except for Turtle Rock, and as soon as we find that red cane, guess what we're in?
Go mode. And we got a lot of dungeons between us and it. And here's the best part about this seed right now. We know Turtle Rock has nothing. We can go mode Turtle Rock. Potentially need the Cane of Samari for Ice Palace. Could be just Cane of Samari's here in Swamp. Could be on the boss of Palace of Dardos. We don't know yet. And with the hammer, there's also a bunch of overworld checks as well. Oh, hammer pegs immediately open up. There's other ones I can't think of off the top of my head.
Oh, you've got Spike Cavern open now with the hammer. You've got your hammer pegs. You're going to have definitely items on all the bosses. So right now, Overworld is probably the last thing Illus is thinking of. As we see Buane enter into Misery Mire, we know that the answer for Buane is not in here. The only thing that could be in here that's going to help Buane is a red cane.
Yeah, if the Cane of Samari is in here, that is gonna make things very interesting for Buane. However, I will also add that the cane may lead him astray slightly. Actually, no, it won't. Not that much. He might go into Swamp or Ice and dip that a little bit more thoroughly. But even with the Cane of Samari, he can't get into Turtle Rock without the hammer.
Yes. As we find a big key in the canal chest here, which is normally the compass. I'm going to be checking this real quick. Illus deciding to go ahead and just do the back, not worry about that left-hand side. We'll see if after killing Argus, Illus decides to dip back inside, as unfortunately for Buane and for us, Misery Mire is a God Mire, and it's a pendant.
Yeah. Hate to see it sometimes. Compass and the arrows, so Boots looking to be left side small.
That's a very nice diver down, holy diver with the bomb clip there. That's a little tricky. You have to put the bomb on a very specific pixel in order for you to clip into that rail.
That's very nervy. So the Boots can be on Argus, which would suck because you have to wade through all this water.
Now that's the one thing Illus is looking for.
And if the boots aren't on Argus, you definitely go left side swamp because that's where your boots are.
Yep, there is no other place they could be.
And we know we need those boots for desert, so they are 100% required, not just for speed. Big keys on the torch in desert.
Gonna be a very fast Argus fight here.
Yep.
Tempered Sword takes care of all that popcorn. You can Fire Rod shot him here, 2 shots to let go of your swing.
Yep.
With Silver Arrows, it takes 1 Silver Arrow to put it right in the eyeball.
Single arrow. would have been funny if we shot him with a silver arrow that got our arrow back. That would have been hilarious. And it's Left Side Swamp for our boots. Illus will be picking them up momentarily. So it'll be still looking for that cane of Samaria. Buane is still looking around here in Misery Mire for that one item.
Yeah, the more time he spends looking for something that could have just one more item we're looking for, the more time he falls behind.
And there it is,
Blue
5
Ruby.
rupees. And unfortunately, that means the cane... It is actually sort of a good thing for Buane, but he is running out of location.
Where's he gonna go? 2.
Actually, you know what? I just realized something. Aghanim can still be alive. No one has checked Lumberjack Ledge. The cane of Samaria could be in Lumberjack Ledge.
It could be a Lumberjack.
I completely forgot about that. Oh. I'm pretty sure Illus will check that soon, though.
I would imagine you'd want to loop that in with if you have to dip Skullwoods. You've got a lot. And I mean a lot of crystal progression you can do. Speaking of, Buane heading into Ice Palace, we know the hammer's not here. So if he finds the Cane of Samaria inside, Illus is going to have a pretty sizable lead.
Now, there's only 2 small keys in the item pool for Misery Mire. And if we don't see one after checking half the chest, it could be on the boss, which would mean this dungeon is Samaria locked by default. Not that it matters much, because that's what we're looking for. But it does mean that places like... well, actually no, it doesn't really matter in this case. It could matter if there was something else important, like Green Pendant. Or another 5-6 here.
Oh, there's the first item in Ice Palace, just a plastic shield.
And it's Ambrosia as well. I completely forgot about that. So no, there can't be a Samaria required for Ice Palace anyway. I completely forgot about that. I knew I would. And here we go. Boots. No, map first. Now boots. Big key chest has the boots here in Swamp Palace. And there we go. Boots for Illus. And Buane's going to be looking through this Ice Palace completely unaware that the hammer is on Buffer Ledge. He has not been to Northwest Darkroll.
He is now officially 1 full dungeon behind. He's going to be very soon 2 full dungeons behind. As we're going to see a relic from a lost age called February 2020 with the Ice Palace Bomb Jump.
Ether on Bombos. That's not that bad to find. That's one of the faster medallions to use. And he can just kill things like Stalfos.
As Illus electing to go ahead and do pod first with that hammer.
Nice. The staircase clip there. Big chest. Or big key, rather.
Yeah, just going to allow Buane to check that big chest immediately.
Yep, Illus, meanwhile, is heading into Palace of Darkness. Big key is only for the map here.
As Illus is going to head straight to Helmosaur, hit him with the hammer, and be a second crystal ahead of Buane.
Alright, let's see where we go here. Illus will have to push this statue onto the switch in order to open the way. That is one of the reason why one of the Cane of Samaria is one of the best items in the game, is because you can just you don't have to worry about pushing statues around, which saves you a few seconds here and there. I see room. Compass.
Alright, well that's just one more check available to Buane here in the I don't know, the U room. It's shaped like a U. I think that's how all of like Ice Palace room names are named. They're named after letters.
I mean, it makes sense because they're all shaped like letters.
So, this is the J room.
I was actually thinking that myself. Yeah. This is the U room, though. Just definitively the U room here.
And it's a small key, so the other item in the front of Ice Palace is hammer-locked. Or, if you get clever, it could be Kana Samaria locked. If you happen to find it beforehand, you do have an additional check you can do with Icebreaker.
Yeah, but very unlikely here. Illus, meanwhile, heading over to the Helmsor King. 17 strikes with this hammer, and then 1 silver arrow to the forehead, and that's all he wrote. Or, alternatively, you can just do 2 spins. Helmsor doesn't have that much health once you break that mask. And down goes Helmsor King, just like that. Lightning quick boss fight. And only 20 rubies is the reward. Buane is going to be killing Moth.
Now, Buane now is heading into Skull Woods. He's so close to that hammer. He's so close, but yet so far away. As you said, all these little dips, the biggest thing that's going to help Buane is finding that Cane of Samaria.
Yes, right. And it cannot be on pedestal, as we now know, because of Misery Mire being one of our 3 remaining pendants. Illus is going to look into either look into Swamp, or not Swamp, Mire.
No, finish Desert.
Finish Desert, yeah. More than likely finish. Is it probably going to be a Desert Mire or Dip? Desert Clear Mire Dip.
Nope, I'm doing Desert, and I'm going right over to Ice Palace. I can full clear Ice Palace. I'm not dipping Mire for 1 item. I don't have Cane of Samaria. Why would I do that? I'm clearing out crystals.
Because that's your go mode. You don't know if it's in there or not.
Yes, but you have 3 items you can get in Ice Palace versus 1 in Mire.
I mean,
okay.
The other argument I'd make is that you're already in the area to check Misery Mire.
Yes, that would be the only reason why to dip Mire, but if you're going, okay, if the item I can find in Mire is in the cutscene chest and it's completely useless to me, I just sunk 3.5 minutes into the seed for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and Overworld still has some checks too with the boots as well.
Yep. Mire is the last place I'm looking because I know I'm looking for Cane of Samaria.
Well, in any case, there's the Moth kill for Buane, taking no damage and was only on 1.5 hearts. Well done. He did have a blue potion on him, as well as I believe a fairy in his back pocket, just in case.
Yeah. So, chat wondering here, why is Illus doing the back first? Well, we know the boss has an item, so if it's Cane of Samaria, you're in go mode.
Yeah, and if it's not, we can just quickly check the item. If we find it, we mirror and get out of there.
As Buane continues his search through Skullwoods for the hammer. We know it's near Skullwoods. It's not in Skullwoods, but it's near. Well, there's the second item in Skullwoods. This is going to push Buane hopefully over to Bumper Cave after this pedestal check.
Yeah, he wants to be sure it's not on the pedestal here. So it is, in fact, a shield. No mail upgrades, though. We should probably mention that. We have not found a mail upgrade yet.
So fluting here doesn't really matter. It's actually faster to take the portal from... he used them. He ended up clipping from the mirror. It's actually faster to use the portal back from Kakariko Village and head right and up to Bumper Cave than it is to walk yourself through the rest of Skullwoods.
I can't see the item, though, in that case. And the small key was in the big chest, so your idea of stealing the key was a moot point.
Yep. That's why I was saying it's that small key has to be in that big chest. So when you go get the the big key, you're gonna get that key anyway. So
Anyway,
Just
let's see
trying to
what
think-
item would have been.
yeah, I was just trying to think of something outside the box. Just arrows.
And Illus is gonna nope out. Blaine's gonna check Steve's down in the meantime.
Boy, Buane. I'm starting to think, you decide at certain points what your last location is going to be that you check. And this makes a lot of sense, but you were already in here. And you could have beaten the dungeon and maybe, left an item in the big chest. But, again...
Illus is opting to not do Ice Palace, and I can understand why.
Gonna route in, drop off the big red bomb. If it's King of Samaria, you're in go mode, and then you just mirror and flute over to Ice Palace.
Yeah, at this point, I think he's gonna do... I would be okay with Illus not checking Ice Palace until it's his last dungeon he has without...
Because
his
Illus
Samaria.
still hasn't turned in Catfish or Pyramid. He hasn't checked to see what Pyramid is.
That's right. But yeah,
So-
also, if he does Ice Palace last, that's actually a perfectly fine play for Illus, I'd say. Because he's basically trying to check Ice last with the Cane of Samaria so he can do Icebreaker. So he's hoping to go mode Ice. And that
Yes,
makes perfect sense in my mind why he would not go to Ice
Absolutely.
right away.
absolutely. And if you haven't done Pyramid and all this with Catfish, it's 4 checks in total, and then after you turn in Catfish, you just use the portal and you're right at Ice Palace, or you could flute again.
I mean, you could also go to the north side and do King's Tomb, Graveyard Ledge, as well
Bonk Run.
as Bonk Run. Yeah. 6 bombs for paying for the super bomb. That's relatively dud-shaped if I ever saw one.
So yeah, even though Illus has opened up a pretty sizable crystal lead, if Buane finds the King of Samaria, that is going to help even out this playing field a little bit, because Illus has yet to do any significant dips inside of pendant dungeons.
Actually, we just noticed Wayne skipped the upper chest. Did we find 3 items at the front? That's the only reason why he'd do that.
We'll see when he changes his item. It's extremely possible we found all the items necessary. Nope. That's a small key. I don't know why he would be checking that. I guess in case he needs to come in.
Our tracker Greg is confirming that it was 3 items in the front, so only has to come over here to fight Lion the Thief.
Alright.
We are seeing bonk boots checks here for Illus. Cane of Samaria, there is go mode at 1 hour, 9 minutes, 33 seconds. And considering the difference in crystal count, that's
this is
pretty much game.
Yeah, this is kind of it. Unfortunately for Buane, either forgetting Bumper Ledge or just putting it off for a last location, it's just put him well behind. So we find just a set of armor on Blind and a green pendant. But Illus is going to be able to go mode Ice Palace and go mode as much as you can of Turtle Rock.
And that was Kane, as Chef pointed out, Kane was locked by Boots, which was locked by Hammer, which was locked by Kane.
Yep. As Buane heads his way up to Bumper Cave, he's probably going to be checking if he he's done Graveyard Ledge, so
And Blaine
unfortunately
will
gonna
be
get the bad
finding
news.
the Hammer.
Yeah.
And given how late the Hammer is, he's definitely going to feel behind. And I think that is the last location for Wayne. I think he only had this and the green pendant left.
Yes. Well, I mean, he could do stuff in Ice Palace, but he did as much as he could. Desert he dipped into, Potty dips, he dipped Swamp Palace. So yeah, this would be the last location for him. He could do... I don't remember if he did the Bombos tablet or not. I don't think he did, because we didn't have book at the time.
Alright, Illus attempting to do Icebreaker, and there we go.
And muscle memory took in there, looking to see if... looking to go do that chest. No, I'm in go mode. I just need to go. Just need to go. As we're gonna get that lumberjack check. Let's see what's on it. It's just
The
a
fourth
blue
bottle.
potion.
All right.
Well, let's start taking another small key. Didn't need to do that. We just need to head right to the boss.
So Buane now with the hammer.
That muscle memory comes into play. So used to doing checks. Gotta watch his magic, though. It's gonna take 8 fire rod shots to open up Cold Stare. I don't believe Illus has a blue or green potion. That looks like it's a full bar magic. Alright.
Good corner trap. Good kill. Very well executed there. Couple of leftover explosions from the boss's defeat. That is crystal number 6 for Illus. Onwards to Turtle Rock and the rest of the seed. Now we still don't know where the other male upgrade is. We know one's blind. But at this point, 11 hearts, green male is only slightly worse than NMG would like. Or what NMG has. NMG, 80% has 14 hearts because, well, they have to pick up those heart containers for all the bosses they have to fight. But this should be a fairly comfortable health total for Illus, especially considering that Illus can just get potions before heading into the final fight. It does have a green potion on hand, so even if Illus ran out of magic for the Coldster fight, did have a backup in case that happened. And we might see it here for the Trinex fight. And I don't think we've seen anyone buy potions either. I think that green potion was a freebie. Alright. Time to enter Turtle Rock and see what we get. Not much in the way we need here for items, but we are definitely going to be finishing the seed up strong here. Now, as a reminder, folks, this is a best-of-5 series with each player having one game. So the winner of this race will not decide who wins the series, but they will be putting their team in an advantageous spot going into the final 2 games, which will be the lower seeds choice and then higher seeds choice with the veto for the opposing team to work with, to work around. And the game 4 will be coming up this Saturday at 4:10. And we'll be actually featuring Buane once again here for Arrow 216. He will be up against Goomba of Last Locationers for that match.
Yeah, both of those racers are going to be looking for a little bit of redemption, as Goomba had a hard time in his Seed Tuesday. As we're going to get a quick Argus fight here over on Buane's side. We know the boots are not on Argus. It's over in the big key chest on the left-hand side. You know, at this point, he's going to be feeling super behind.
Yeah, because at this point, his opponent could most likely have checked that location by now. And Buane did in fact use a silver arrow to kill Argus and got it back.
Oh, chain chomps.
Most dangerous enemy in the game. They take a 6 whole hearts off of you in green mail. Only thing that does more damage as them is Ganon with a contact damage of 8 hearts. Very dangerous fights all around. And once again, folks, I'd like to remind you that this is, of course, the Misery Miner Finals was going on right here. This is best of 5 series, and you can see the bracket on the league site there, ALTTPRleague.com. And the winner of this will start inter-league play between the 4 teams, the 4 divisions of the Dark World Conference, and the winner for the Dark World Conference and will be fighting the winner of the Light World Conference for the League Grand Finals.
And in these races, you've got a lot of skilled players who are on the same level, so you never know going into any race who's going to win.
And coming out of this will actually be the teams that are left will be fighting each other for the first time in the league. They've all been fighting. Each of the divisions had 8 matches, 8 teams, and they've all been fighting each other these last several weeks. Starting next week, this is going to be the first time any of the teams are going to be fighting outside their own division. So they don't know each other as well. So a lot of studying will have to be done by their opponent for them to understand their opponents well.
So we're gonna get a small key here on Laser Bridge. So let's just swap in that switch over, so that way once we do find that key, it's just gonna head right over to Trinex. Gonna have to be careful though with that magic. No half magic means that those fire rod and ice rod shots eat up a whole bunch of that bar. So if you happen to miss 1 or 2 of them, you're gonna be cutting it close.
Yeah, it would be cutting it close if we didn't have to worry about magic. I noted earlier that Illus does in fact have a green potion and a gold sword as well. So magic is gonna be very trivial in that fight.
Yep, we're gonna butter up a turtle and later butter up some bacon. So yeah, you're going to be able to zero phase Trinex here, hopefully. If you're able to get your swipes quick enough. As Buane here checking the Bombos tablet, just going to find Ether on it. Looking for that red cane. We know red cane is in Bonk Rocks. Just unfortunately, that hammer hunt was just enough to throw a wrench into the plans. Very nice Trinex fight done here by Illus, and gets that 0 cycle.
Indeed. And I just now noticed Goomba's here in chat, and he let something slip here. I was actually going to ask Wayne this at the end of the race, but Goomba himself has told us what the settings are for that game 4. It is inverted, all dungeons key sanity if you missed it in chat. Oh boy, that's going to be spicy. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the 7th crystal right there in Illus's hands, and we have a game we like to play. We have 22 chests in Ganon's Tower's basement, only one of which can be our Ganon's Tower big key to ascend and finish this seed. Give us a number in chat, tell us which chest you think it's going to be in today. We're going in order of opening here. Worldwide Wimpy, where do you think it's going to be?
I always guess the number of my favorite baseball player of all time, number 14.
I went one below you. I went with 13.
Of course, if you get the guess right, you win the most prized possession of anyone on the internet, points!
Of course, the points don't mean much here, but we're just so. But hey, it's good to have some recognition to see how many times you guessed correctly, isn't it? And all right, game's gonna be closed up shortly here as Illus is entering Ganon's Tower.
So yeah, the big key chess game is, or a big key guessing game is kind of like whose line is it anyway. It's all important, and the points mean nothing.
All right, first check is the torch, and it is in fact a small key.
We're at Bob.
Yep, we're not going to see Bob the glitched anti-fairy today, if we even get that far. 2, 3, 4, and 5 coming up here in the Stalfos room, also nicknamed the Dark Vision room for obvious reasons. Bug catching net. Our container. Item number 4, small key. Item number 5, big key. There we go. That is big key number 5. That is a fast big key for this dungeon. Let's go ahead and see who won the game here. It is Link to the Past Ken, with a guess of 5. Congratulations to you. Illus now ascending the top of the sea, to the top of the world here. Buane, meanwhile, getting the crystal out of desert, but is 3 crystals behind Illus at this point, plus the finding of the big key in Ganon's Tower.
And the Canis Maria.
Yep, which we know is in the Bonk Rocks next to Sanctuary. And he looks to be heading over to this. So this next room for Illus is a room that you would use Ether in if you were really annoyed by these skeletons, as they die instantly to it. These Hazaks, meanwhile, as you're seeing right now, they are actually get frozen by Ether, so it's not an ideal play for them. And if you don't have the Cane of Samaria, Ether is also a good way to deal with the Wizards on the upper floors, or the next floor up, as we'll see shortly.
Illus does have those potions to use, so not that concerned about that bar being so low. And a nice silver arrows strategy there on Lamola's 2. One single silver arrow will take down every single worm.
Yeah, and now we're going to see some really clean execution here. This is one of the easiest things to learn, but a lot more difficult to master. That one is the easy one. This is the hard one right here. Gets it done effortlessly. The trick is to get up there in time to hit slash that last one you're not hitting, and time that your Samaria so it doesn't hit the spike. But very cleanly done by Illus. Did stutter a little bit there. Should have time though.
Oh, more enough time. You take that fall, it moves you over to that torch significantly quicker, and you're able to light that bottom one very fast.
And did wait there patiently. There is a soft block if you can climb the stairs at the same time the torches in the other room go out. So avoids that. It just despawns this entire upper floor, and you have to reset the dungeon. It's not even gonna bother looking for that green mail. 13 hearts, more than enough. Moldarm 2, 1 slash, and 1 more to finish the fight. There we go.
We've got 1 perilous pit to cross, and then it's up to fight a wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Aga.
Not opening the final chest. Is quite confident on green mail, not gonna bother looking for the blue mail. And with that bucket net in hand, actually, Illus will be able to get more fairies if need be.
With Gold Sword, I'm not even worried. That's 6 slashes. You can basically get through the hardest Ganon phases relatively quickly. You just need to dodge some bats at the end of phase 2 and you're good to go.
Yeah, and we have the cape for that and a green potion as well, so you can easily burn it. Silver arrows as well in our possession. The Ganon fight is going to be an absolute joke this race.
And down goes that wizard. 2-1-1-2 for Illus here on the cycles for Aghanim.
What I get you down is now time to fight the pig. Gold sword and silver arrows in hand. It'll just be 6 slashes during the trident throw and the fire shield phase to advance us to phase 3, in which we have to slash Ganon as he stops teleporting around. For fairness sake, the fake teleports are seeded among 12 runners, so they get the same patterns each time. I'm on the first trip. It is completely random if they fall, though. And then after 4 hits, we go into phase 4 of Ganon. Keep the torches lit, stun him with a sword, 4 silver arrows, GG.
4, 5. Oh, unfortunately, just not getting the 1 cycle, but you can get the slashers right here.
Yeah, he got the 1 cycle. The phase doesn't start until after he finishes moving his head. And that's an easy 6 there. Does get 1 fire bat during the ground stomps. That happens if you don't hit him that fast. The fire bats on phases 3 and 4 do not actually have knockback on them. They actually reverse your control. So if you're trying to push yourself out of the pit, they're going to push yourself into the pit. So best thing to do, don't press any movement inputs. Just take the head and walk it off later. Double here.
I think that's a double. Yep. No need to worry about a torch
And that's a
bridge.
double right there. 1, 2, and done. Ladies and gentlemen, get your GG in the chats for Illus, who will be crossing the finish line and finishing in first here. What a great race this was. And there we go, folks. Illus has finished in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 50 seconds. A new personal best in Ambrosia's mode. And right here, unfortunately, we can see that Buane has forfeited from the race. But GG's to them all the same. And we are now joined by the winner, Illus. Congratulations and GG's. Giving your team now has an advantage for Game 4.
GG, thank you. I'm very glad that I made this. I was worried about my match again.
Back soon. Oh no, that's mine. What the heck's going on?
Yeah, I think Discord had a hiccup there.
You're good now.
I think it hooked up as well. But yeah, Buane, last location of the hammer, like I was saying, he found it well after you were in go mode.
Yeah, it was a very nasty hammer. I actually got wrecked earlier today by the same location, just with the cane. And I don't know, like if you don't have the fire rod, you don't really want to check scouts in Ambrosia because it's only 1 item, and then you also skip Bumper Cave because Bumper Cave is 4 screen transitions for 1 check. It's absolutely terrible to go there. So yeah, I didn't do it, and I guess Buane agreed with me. There are some people who might have had that hammer very early, but I kind of hope that Buane did not, because like he's very efficient, like me, I guess. So that's the kind of check you might want to combine with something else, like the boots checks or the graveyard ledge. So I've been hoping, like I've been assuming that he didn't have that hammer, because if he did, I would have been in big trouble. Like I wouldn't have won that race ever if he had the hammer early.
Yes. So I will inform you this right now, folks. Buane will not be joining us for an interview here. I'm not sure if the German interside wants an interview with you, Illus, but they are asking as well. And yeah, yes, folks, this was also being restreamed for our German audience as well. I did not have time to mention it because of the race.
Yeah, I'm planning to go there. I hope I have enough time for everything.
All right.
So you were talking about the routing for the hammer there, and you didn't end up dipping into Swamp Palace beforehand getting the hammer, but Buane did. So he had the information that the boots were hammer locked. It's just interesting to me that for the cape check for Bumper, for you to kind of put that off when it's, yes, it's that many screen transitions, but if it's there, it's there.
Yeah, but you can say that about every location. If it's on Catfish, then it's there. If it's in Spike Cave, then it's there. If it's on Graveyard Ledge, then it's there. You cannot just assume I'm gonna find the hammer there. That's not how Randomizer works.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. That's why I was going to bring up the point that, so that's why you want to try and loop in as many checks as you can together. But you were saying you would normally loop that in with maybe boots checks, but he knew that the boots were hammerlocked no matter what. You didn't. So that's why I think it was interesting for him to kind of go around and dip dependent dungeons first, just to make sure that it wasn't there. Makes sense. Nothing wrong with that play at all. And that was really the difference in the race.
Yeah, like in Ambrosia, it's kind of like Ambrosia is kind of a rough mode in that regard, and that's why I've come to pretty much dislike Ambrosia actually. Like you have to commit very hard to your dips, to your pendant dungeon dips, for example, or your dips in general, and you're kind of disincentivized to dip dungeons without the necessary items to clear it. And I think that's a pretty bad thing. So yeah, in this case, it's really bit Buane in the butt, but that happened a lot to me as well, and I don't like this kind of thing really.
Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and let you go talk to the other people. Any final thoughts about the seat before you go, though?
Bumper ledge sucks.
Fair enough.
Good luck to
Thanks
you
for
and your team.
commentating. Thank you very much. I'm very happy that I made it.
All right,
Yeah,
folks.
good.
Let's wrap things up here. So last occasions will go 2-1 here in their league match, with game 4 to follow here on Saturday, as Goomba was mentioned earlier in chat. That will be inverted all dungeons key sanity as well. Meanwhile, though, across the league for today at least, we will have another match for you coming up here at 8:10. Following this match, actually, so in about 20 minutes time, you will have Team I Like Big Boots, represented by Ganon's Gone Wild, versus Team Kinda Random Retired, or represented by Puriyame. That is a courage game match. That will be open 7-7 defeat Ganon. And that is actually going to be the last race for us today for the league. So join us this tomorrow at 1:10 at the earliest for Team Awesome, Pitsy on 1327 versus Hermit on Team Hime. I do not have the settings there, but that will be on SpeedGaming 3. And again, Saturday, 4:10 p.m., Goomba versus Buane for these two teams once again for their game 4. Or last occasions will have the advantage here, going into inverted all dungeons key sanity. And while you're at it, folks, make sure to also follow SpeedGaming and SpeedGaming 226 so you don't miss any racing action, not just a link to the vast randomizer. And of course, make sure to follow Illus and Buane as well for putting on this race. And of course, we also have some secondary channels that you can follow us that we host the league on. ALTTPR League and ALTTPR League 2 through 4. That's the ALTTPR League for the prefix. And of course, make sure to also follow our tracker Ray, Guru, and of course my co-con boy Wimpy. And you can give me a follow as well. I've been Wolflink070, and from all of us here at Link to Best Randomizer League, we just see you all next time. And as always, thank you for watching. Have a good night, everyone.